afternoon, and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Oh, man, voice is almost shot. What in the world? Let's get together here, Cameron. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always, don't miss anything. If you do miss something, we got you. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That, too, is a good thing. Don't fret. It's brought to you with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great podcast sponsor, CarltonDean.com. And he and the fine folks at SVN finding ways to make you money in commercial real estate, resources, knowledge, know how to do that. Go to CarltonDean.com to learn more. Email the show if you like. It's jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameronShow, and the WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. To boot, we are back on the YouTube stream today, ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. Go there, watch the show performed if that's more convenient for you or something you want to do. All right, so I just got back from the press conference, the assembled media there, 1 o'clock this afternoon. Jimbo was 12 minutes late. I lost a bet. The over-under I had placed at 7 minutes, Tom, and he took a little longer. I thought he would have a little pep in the step, eager to address the press and get things started. And it's not that he didn't, it just wasn't as eager as I had anticipated. And Tom Block and I wagered on the side, and I lost that wager.
So 12 minutes means we're going 8-4?
No. The minute tabulation and the comparison and contrasts has never really done anything for me. There have been years where he's right on time and we had an awful season, years where he was very, very late and we had a great season, years where he was right on time and we had a great season, and years when he was very, very late and we had a bad season. So it really doesn't, I don't think it matters. I'll tell you what my notepad here, I have a lot of notes, and we have audio from today's press conference, which we'll play for you.
That sucker's full.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not all of this, but it's, well, by the way, I should note, this is old school. This is the 2013 ACC championship game.
Wow.
Pad. I have every one of these for the last however many years.
Look at that old ACC logo. Outdated, like our football was at that period of time.
Look at that. Well, in 2013, we were the national champions, Tom.
Oh, we were, but
we were. The league was not up to snuff yet, but we were very much.
Swaffy was not pleased with the depth of the league and what they brought to the table.
He wasn't talking about it like he does now, which is it's the best league in football. But I'm looking, everybody asks me this now because this has become my thing. Like Ira Schaffel's thing of WarChant.com is to monitor sideline body language and interaction during games, even in games where perhaps it would seem not to matter. So if he's watching the sidelines of a Duke game, what ends up happening is that he brings it to the table, and nobody else was doing what he was doing. And so we love Ira for that because, he'll point out, there was a bit of a terse moment in the second quarter between this player and that player, this coach and that coach, or whatever it might be, and then you keep your eye on it for the rest of the year. So it's good. And we love that he does that. Well, everybody I say everybody, maybe nobody, but a lot of people ask me anyhow that listen to the show for me to give my reaction to that initial press conference every year of Jimbo Fisher as to where his mindset is and whether or not there's anything to worry about. And this is all stemming from the time that I noted he was quite concerned when very few people noticed that, and that he had to go back and check his notes on some things. There was another time where it felt like he was apologizing with the way that he handled E.J. Manuel. So I've just sort of been that guy lately. And I got to tell you, I thought he was no nonsense. I thought he was focused. I thought he was serious. I thought, though, he was sort of reserved. I didn't detect, for the first time really, one way or the other. I didn't feel like, oh, boy, this is ominous. I didn't feel like, oh, man, he thinks we're going to win the national championship. Just sort of a wait and see, which speaks to the learned lesson from a year ago.
Well, yeah, and it echoes what you were talking about yesterday, which is that's kind of what the fan base is right now. Many of them are in a wait and see mode. And obviously with Alabama being the first game,
I think it kind of, facilitates that.
It's clear that he thinks that the freshmen are going to contribute, I think. Immediately. And by that, I mean in the first month of the season. And I'm not saying they're taking starting jobs, but he's quick to note about last year and what that team learned and the lessons they take with them this year. After he says that, he says, well, but we got 20 new guys now. We got 20 new guys, and they're going to be competing for a position. So I think from a depth standpoint, he's at least looking to this camp saying, all right, which one of you 20
are going to do that?
Are going to be the 3 or 4 guys that we need for anywhere between 10 to 30 snaps a game?
You know what I didn't like? I have to say, the answer I got to my Maven Saunders question did not fill me with great confidence about where Maven Saunders is at.
I timed it. It was 1.8 seconds was the response.
Yeah, he's not enamored. And I thought it was a fair, certainly, question. Just he was mentioning Izzo and the tight ends and how time, usually acts as a sense of urgency for guys when they get into their junior year. Maven is a redshirt junior. I figured maybe there would be sort of a smile that crept across the face if that young man was making the kind of progress that we'd been hoping for, that I had been hoping for, perhaps. He had a good summer. We'll see. I think that was his answer.
Yeah, on the scale of Rubel to Leonard, I think it's closer to the former.
Yeah.
In terms of answers, it may have been kinder, but it didn't really resemble the good, he's going to be a heck of a football player.
No.
Answer.
He wasn't quick to inject that. Hey, by the way, so obviously Rick Leonard, that is the big news of the press conference, that Rick Leonard is not at right tackle. He will begin camp at left tackle. And this after in spring, he had noted that they didn't want to mess with it because they thought he was comfortable over there on the right side, and they didn't want to fiddle with that, and they felt like he had progressed nicely. So you can take that one of two ways. They're not in love with what their situation is at left tackle, and thus, Rick, you're going to be playing left tackle until we figure some things out. Or B, Rick got comfortable and felt better and worked on that. I do think, and he talked about this, and it led to some questions from me and others, but he did talk about the college game is different than the pro game, and the left tackle is not nearly as imperative and vital as it is in the pro game. And this kind of piggybacks on something you asked him a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, about guard play, and he talked about guards being so much more important than ever before in terms of keeping pressure off the quarterback up the middle and why that was, and what you ask your guards to do now, which is different than before. So that answer falls in line with that.
Well, especially when your quarterback is 6 feet tall or 6'1"
Right,
versus
right.
Jameis, who could see over the line of scrimmage. This guy needs a clean pocket more than most. Yes,
it was interesting to hear the way he started things with. I'm excited to get underway. My 8th year time has flown. It has 8th year, and just when he said it, when he verbalized it, I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, we're rapidly approaching a decade's worth of Jimbo Fisher as head coach. And he's right to note that at, I think, 77-17, they've had an awful lot of success, and that they've been real happy with the culture that he's created. And that he got into team culture. He got into a question Corey Clark asked him about a team personality at one point because he said he liked the personality of this team. I'm glad Corey asked that question because that is kind of an odd thing to say. I mean, you're talking about a large collection of people. But that every team, as he notes, year in and year out, has a 1-year lifespan. Every team is different, and so you can't count on 1 year to the next them being the same. This is Jimbo Fisher talking about a team's personality.
When you talk to them, they ain't ever late for a meeting. When you talk to them, they're sitting in the front of their chair and their eyes are up. There ain't guys dozing off. There ain't guys, and it happens on every football team. Everybody say, well, that happens in the history of 29 years. That happens a lot. I mean, that's just part of kids when you sit and talk to them. They got to be somewhere. Whether they're doing community service, whether they're doing good in school. I mean, just the whole demeanor and the urgency in which how they let you coach them, let you push them, let you challenge them, and say that, I don't have all the answers. Hey, I know I'm a great player. But I can still be coached. I can still be gotten on. I can still be challenged. And from that demeanor, that means just characteristics of that normal good people. Like if you walked in a room with somebody and you want to have a conversation with them and talk to them, he's looking all over the room and doing that. What's that tell you? Or is he locked into what you're saying? Is he paying attention to what you're saying? Is he trying to do what you're saying? Does he show up 2 minutes late? Is he on time? Are they 5 minutes early? Do they affect other guys? Are they getting on other guys? Or you see the leaders of the team taking their personality on guys? You know what I'm saying? From that standpoint, that's what I've liked.
That question of leadership, I'll get into team culture in a second, but the discussion about leadership centers around DeAndre Francois. And part of what he talked about with that is it's something that maybe deserves to be pointed out, and that is last year DeAndre was so busy becoming the starting quarterback at Florida State and handling the duties that come with that responsibility. Obviously, you have to know the playbook. You have to understand your job. And then that kind of like, branches to a tree. You've got to figure out exactly what you are to everybody else and what they are to you and how best to go about running a team, if you will, with the guy with the ball in his hand on every play offensively. And I think he was so busy figuring that out and withstanding an awful beating that maybe aspects of his personality that we don't know about really couldn't be displayed. Just the day-to-day leadership that quarterbacks often have in the locker room or provide in the locker room, the building of trust and those relationships that then take it to the next level where you're able to vocalize your concerns about a player's, whether it's work ethic or inconsistencies, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that when Jameis came in as a redshirt freshman in 2013, there was already an established network, a hierarchy of people that were going to hold you accountable on both sides of the ball. And that's one of the functions that James Wilder performed for that team that may have been more important than what he brought to the table on the field, because Devonta Freeman is the first running back that you think of when you think of the championship team. But there was a framework, and then Jameis could kind of slide into the framework, take it over gradually, and when needed, speak up. But he wasn't the only voice in the locker room. Last year, I mean, you look at the candidates. Dalvin Cook, not the most outspoken person in terms of leadership, and by the end of the year, he had taken on that mantle, but certainly not in the first month of the season. Travis Rudolph, Kermit Whitfield, Bobo Wilson, those aren't the natural-born leaders of an offense. So he goes into a situation where they've got a hodgepodge offensive line. Dalvin's hurt for the first month of the season, and there really isn't somebody who holds everybody else accountable. That's an awful lot to take on in the first month of your season, especially when in week 3 you get your ass kicked.
Yeah, and I think, too, that, part of what's weird is, he's friends with a lot of guys that make up this offense in that they go back. They played, junior football together in Orlando, whether that's Nooney Murray or Jaquez Patrick. Those guys, they all played together. And so I think once he established himself as the guy at quarterback, and he certainly proved his toughness, so the respect that is earned from something like that week to week, there's no doubt, is in place. I'm just surprised, and maybe now that Nooney is being counted upon to be the guy, and Auden Tate has to step up as well, and Keith Gavin, maybe he's more vocal, because one of the benefits, certainly, if you go a ways back with somebody, we can all relate to this in our own workplace, whether you have projects that are due that you're working on together, and you're part of a management team. In this job, Tom and I work very closely together every day, of course, and we're also friends. And we now have an established rapport and friendship as well as work relationship. At any point, if we have to say something to the other about anything, I think we feel pretty comfortable doing that without worrying that the person's going to bristle and shut down and not be able to do their job. And not that is always necessary, just you like knowing that comfort level between players in this case or coworkers is there, so that if something needs to be expressed, and it doesn't always have to be negative, it could be positive, then you can do it. And I think with DeAndre, if you're asking Nooney Murray now to be the guy, and you go back to your childhood of playing Pop Warner together, and you've established yourself as a quarterback, these plays that Nooney takes off, these plays where the ball's not coming to him, so he walks about. Man, if I'm DeAndre Francois trying to take my game to the next level, try to win a championship, and it's contingent upon you being great simultaneous with me, we're going to have a conversation, because I know you like that, and I've earned my place, plus we've known each other for this long. I'm going to tell you that ain't getting it done. You got to lead every day if you're the guy of that receiving corps.
Yeah, I think that's fitting you say that, too, about earning your place, because, today is 5 years now that we've been on ESPN Radio.
Which is crazy, right?
August 1st, 2012. But in the beginning, just to take it into our own personal and professional lives, man, there was a filling out process. Sure, I was filling in at the old place, but it wasn't a daily relationship that we had on and off the air. So we had to learn each other a little bit, and it took about, a football season to really know. We had a pretty good idea, but to know the nuances of the position, and I had to earn my chops. And there were going to be some bad moments, some good moments, but after a football season, it's like, okay, now
we're good.
We've seen everything. We've seen most scenarios, and now we know moving forward. And thankfully, it was a championship season in 2013, so it was a lot of fun. Well, DeAndre had to earn those chops. I mean, I just used the Jameis example. Look at Jameis in his rookie season. I mean, Vincent Jackson was the veteran on that offense, and he didn't want to step on toes in terms of leadership for the team because he's a rookie quarterback and he's got to learn his way.
It's hard on quarterbacks, though. The position demands, by definition, leadership from the jump.
But there's such a nuance, and so he's a young man in a grown man's game, and in the same way, last year DeAndre was a young pup in a grown man's college football game, and where does he fit in? Now, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. It's his offense, and it's his way or the highway, and he has to assert that coming up in camp.
And I think Jimbo kind of expressed that he thought that he would, and that maybe to some degree he has already, because he did address that by saying, you got to remember last year he needed to learn how to be the quarterback. He had to figure out the offense and do all of these things, and it's his redshirt freshman year, so he's still figuring it all out. It's funny how far he's come. If you're just looking at Florida State embarking on the season today, right? Practice begins, we learn something. Maybe sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's very, very small, but we learn something new almost every day about the team from now until they kick it off against Alabama. One of the things that I go back and I look at now with DeAndre Francois, I think about, he's kind of a shy guy. He's kind of a reserved, sort of quiet guy, and how at odds that is with what is demanded of him now and what he has to become and where this can go if he's able to take on all of that and become all of those things. I guess it's kind of convoluted, but what I'm thinking about is that if that's true, if we see this other person, this guy, this confidence, this vocal leadership out of him, I think that will be kind of surprising because I just don't think that's who he is, but it is demanded.
He could be a taskmaster and yet not be the person that the media loves to interview the most.
Yeah.
The hard part is, of course, closed out of practice. So what kind of person is he in practice? That's the most important version of DeAndre Francois to the health of this team and what this offense can do. You'll see some products of that on game day, but it's all done Monday through Thursday when they're doing walkthroughs and when they're doing full contact practice. If somebody's loafing in a drill, is he going to hold them accountable? We can't know that. All we can do is get that second hand, but I think that's the place where it counts most. If you listen to the reports of summer workouts, he's done that.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to do it in practice when everybody's watching, when everybody's there and egos are on the line.
Jimbo talked of team culture. We'll play that clip for you momentarily. The reason I think that's important is he actually uttered the phrase, culture is everything. Last year, you can argue, at least halfway through the season, the culture at Florida State was on shaky ground. And that became a very interesting saga, a storyline that followed the team to the very end of the campaign. And the end of the campaign ended much better than it began. And you could say that Jimbo Fisher and his staff found a way to save it because it was certainly in question. Here's Jimbo Fisher talking about team culture.
Creates culture. Culture is the most important thing of a place. And it's not just created by the coach. The coach can set a standard, then the players have to own that standard. Till the players own it, you have nothing. And then the administration has to set it. What advantages are they giving you? What advantages is the school giving you over the next school that makes you want to go bust your tail for them? That this place dictates that we have championships based on everything from A to Z. From their treatment in the classroom to tutoring to how you treat them off the field, on the field, study, whatever it may be, in the weight room, in this, in that. It's all a culture of expectation that you want to do because they're doing things right by you. You know what I'm saying? And then administration says it, coaches said it, then players have to accept it, own it, and then incorporate it into everything they do. Culture is the number one thing.
Well, let's hope that culture has been reestablished if it had been on shaky ground, if only for a moment. And as evidenced through the 7 wins over the last 8 games, perhaps it is. And it'll be important because this is a brutal schedule. And it starts from the jump with Alabama. And you get the sense that there's a pressure that comes with that, but it's not everything. And there were a lot of questions that came up today, some of which had to do with personnel. We'll play some audio from that. We'll talk about that. We'll react to what was a very long opening press conference from Jimbo Fisher today, which I appreciated. He was in a pretty talkative mood. I think he's certainly more at ease every year that he's here. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And we now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility, says it's summertime, and summertime is the time to go green and save energy. Here are a few simple things you can do right now that will save energy while you try to keep out of the summer heat. First thing, get your air conditioner checked out and change your air filters. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much energy and money you can save. Going away from home on vacation? Why not purchase a programmable thermostat to regulate your air conditioner while you're not at home? Talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-478-0834. 800-478-0834. 800-478-0834. That's 800-478-0834.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
This is Shaquille O'Neal.
And the Shaquettes.
Reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time!
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting?
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
This is a court-ordered notice. Current and former BMW, Mazda, Subaru, and Toyota owners or lessees can receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to autoairbagsettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's autoairbagsettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
Oh no! no, my lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Happy Lawn Maintenance Tuesday. No headlines this week, by the way. We'll return headlines to next week. We get back underway. Too much going on right now covering the football, so it's good. We're good. As another side here, let's get back to this. More audio from Jimbo Fisher. You know, I did ask about RPOs. This is an interesting answer. I knew that Coach Fisher would say about run-pass options that they use them at Florida State. There are varieties of run-pass options. But it should be noted that the ones that are gouging defenses now and putting defensive players in such great conflict and really are the things that are outlawed by the rules in the National Football League but aren't in college football are not the kinds that we run. The ones that throw the ball down the field are the ones that really put a defensive player in conflict and challenge the rules of football and border on being completely unfair, not bubble screens.
Yeah, you're talking about busting people up the seams.
Yeah.
You get a linebacker or a slot defender, be it, because now hybrid defenders.
And you're run blocking downfield, and you put a lot of pressure on officials to call it, and they just haven't. And the rule is different from 1 yard in the NFL, 3 yards in college, and just trying to officials, while play is happening, it's very tough. And you'll see guys sometimes 4 and 5 yards downfield, and it's just not called. And these are indicators to defensive players of what you're doing, and they trigger based on that. And so these offenses take advantage of that, and it's a completely unfair rule. It's a stupid rule. It's one that college football needs to get rid of, and Jimbo Fisher expresses that. But I should note that because he thinks that this is a bad rule and not good for football. By the way, he's not alone. Most football coaches that I've talked to about this in general don't like it. Nick Saban, his mentor, certainly doesn't like it. But there's a difference between not liking it, maybe even thinking that it's beneath you, and choosing not to take advantage of the rules. And so I think we get into that fine line. You do what you do. You don't want to be something completely different. But if you get gouged by it, and you get beaten by teams who have chosen to accept that that's the way it is and that's the way it's called or not called in college football, and then therefore they're going to utilize it, you are tasked with the responsibility of winning college football games. And if you can do that by taking advantage of rules, no matter how dumb you believe them to be, I think you owe it to your school and your players to do so. And it'll be interesting to see. It doesn't mean he won't. He has, to some degree, kind of turned the page on a lot of thoughts that he had or philosophies that he had years ago regarding some things in college football. He's adapted to many things that have changed in college football. I think this is the next big step for him if, in fact, they're not going to do anything about the rule. Here's Coach Fisher talking about RPOs.
We do them. We do probably, I don't say 8 to 14 a game. Did last year. Always have. I mean, I think it's a dumb rule. I think it's dumb. It's unfair to defenses. I'm an offensive guy. Guys that more than a yard down, it's a penalty. But they are what we do. We do them. We've done them. Our bubble screens, our screen games are all RPOs. Those aren't scripted. I mean, they're decisions. All those touchdowns to Kermit and all those different throws and all that screen game we do, that's all that. The pad, the slants, we do a lot of RPOs. So, I mean, we do them. And you have to adapt to them. You're not going, just because I say I don't like them doesn't mean I'm not going to do them because I'm going to adapt to the rules. But we do them and we'll continue to do them.
Yeah, and we don't do them in the same way or as frequently as other schools do them. And I get it, I mean, the other part of that isn't so much that he is deciding against taking advantage of an opportunity. Your quarterback has to be able to do it. Jameis could do it. That's who he's referencing when he's talking about those bubbles. He's talking about Jameis making a decision at the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's the counting principle that you talked about often with
yes.
EJ and Ponder and whether or not they always understood the counting principle.
It's also pre-snap. It's not reading the linebacker when the play starts. It's you see what I'm saying? It's different in that regard. So,
well, and you're also protected too. You can be 10 yards down the field with the way we run the bubbles because
right,
if you
because
catch
it's behind the line of scrimmage,
yeah,
you can always block downfield.
A receiver can block downfield for 15 yards
right.
because if you catch it at the line of scrimmage, you're A-okay.
Here's the thing. The man knows more about offensive football than almost anybody in the country. He knows the origins of these offenses, how they responded, how they were born out of a response to defensive formations and strategies that changed over the years. So I'm never going to get into the argument of whether or not he understands it or knows how to use it or any of those things, because good Lord, he knows, again, more about offensive football, certainly more than me, but more than the vast majority of people who get paid lots of money to know about offensive football, in fact, including tons of other coaches. He's a savant in that way. It's his great strength. But again, the way that other teams use those compared to how we use them, they're different. They are different. And I will be interested to see if he further adapts, if he continues to evolve on that front to take advantage of those rules. And I absolutely agree with him. It's a stupid rule. It's against the spirit of the rule that is certainly on the books. It's you're running up against that blurred line, man, and I don't like it because I think it's potentially dangerous too. It also makes it impossible to play defense. I mean, that's why you see even the great defensive teams in football, like Alabama and others, who year in and year out have very good defenses because they have the personnel and the depth and the talent. They'll run into a game or two where they play offenses like this, and you just can't consistently make stops. It takes a bust. It takes one false step, and you're beat, and you're going to have false steps when a defender is reading based on the blocking scheme, run.
Well, the thing is, nobody's got a problem with it if you stay at the line of scrimmage or within a yard of the line of scrimmage.
But they don't.
And that's where, for example, the jump pass is often used on the goal line.
And is there anything sillier than a jump pass?
I think that.
What are we doing?
I think it should be outlawed personally. But if everybody's staying at the 1 yard line or right around where the end zone line is,
it's also some. I gotta be careful.
Yep, it is.
It's just. Can we play the game?
But it's when linemen are releasing downfield, and I mean, how often do we see it? You see little screen grabs on Twitter throughout the football season where somebody's
like
6 to 10 yards
and
down
they don't
the
call
field.
It. Yes,
and the ref's like, "Woo! All right, first down. Let's get those chains."
I asked if it should be reviewable last year to Jimbo. I asked him on the air, and he said, "No, I don't think so. We'll just be delaying the game even more. I mean, that's just one more thing for them to review. We already have enough reviews. Some would say too many reviews as is." But if they did take the time to review that, if a coach could call for the review and had the same sort of incentive and punishment as they do in the NFL when you throw a challenge flag, that is to say that if you were right, you get your challenge back and you're able to continue to use them throughout the game. I mean, I think that there would be ample opportunity because you got people, the eye in the sky. You got people up there looking at it.
Yeah, and I wonder whose job it is actually on the field to enforce. I would assume it's one of the two line judges.
Yeah, we should have. I didn't ask that at the ACC referees meeting because I didn't go to it. But that's because
the late Doug Rhodes would have really helped in that regard, and he would have been adamant that the ACC officials never make any mistakes. But you at least would have learned because the eighth official, the umpires, the NFL are behind the line of scrimmage now rather than where the linebackers line up. All that stuff. I mean, whose responsibility is it to make that call?
I just can't believe it hasn't been outlawed. Now we're getting too into the weeds here because today is a day about the celebration of return of football, not the nuance within the game that make it enjoyable or unenjoyable. But I did think that was an interesting answer. I kind of guessed that was going to be the answer, but I wanted him to say it, and I did wonder also would he cop to the fact that he hated the rule. Which doesn't it makes it sound like I'm trying to get you or it's a gotcha moment. No, I suspected that he, along with most other coaches in college football, absolutely hate the rule. And, I wanted to hear it because I also wanted him to expound upon how he's dealing with the fact that hasn't changed.
Yeah. Again, the RPOs that he, runs most of the time, the NFL still runs RPOs. They're called smokes. Where at the line of scrimmage, if you got a one-on-one with Des Bryant or Calvin Johnson or whatever, and you have a called run, screw it. Snap the ball, fire.
Let's go.
It happens in the red zone all the damn time. Mm-hmm. Those, I think the coaching community, especially Jimbo, would call those man's RPOs rather than an RPO.
And they're completely fair.
Yeah.
They're completely fair. It's at the line of scrimmage. Also, and I would call them men's RPOs as well, but I would also say that I would also call them we good, we good. That's the Jameis Winston, I got singles on Evans, do I? We good, we good. Snap the ball. We good is my all-time favorite. We got to get the audio. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting?
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond Powder Spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
This is a court-ordered notice. Current and former BMW, Mazda, Subaru, and Toyota owners or lessees can receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to autoairbagsettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's autoairbagsettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned carts starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina, and presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
O'Reilly. Keep your windows clean and see clearer with Gunk Glass Cleaner. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy one bottle of Gunk Glass Cleaner and get one free. Gunk's high-performance ingredients clean glass and hard surfaces without leaving a film or residue. Gunk Glass Cleaner, buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You know
know why we love the country music community? Their passion for hometowns. Because at Country Inns and Suites, at home is how we want every guest to feel. That's why we offer complimentary comforts, such as hot breakfast every morning, a Wi-Fi connection, and coffee around the clock. Plus, our spacious rooms are the perfect place to relax and unwind. Our home is always open to you and your family. Book your next stay at countryinns.com.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. So who is the best player in college football? According to ESPN, it's Derwin James. In an article published by ESPN, James was ranked the #1 player in the country, ahead of guys like Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield and USC's Sam Darnold, who's even ahead of Lamar Jackson, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. Other Noles making that list: DeAndre Francois at number 11, Josh Sweat number 24, and Tavares McFadden at number 25. Well, the NFL says it may be willing to work with the NFL Players Association to study the use of marijuana as pain management. The league wrote a letter to the NFLPA offering to work with them to study the potential use by players as a pain management tool. And you've heard of UCF kicker Donald De La Haye. He's a YouTube sensation. Now the NCAA has ruled him ineligible after he refused to give in to the NCAA's demands for him to stop monetizing on his very popular YouTube channel.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
The great Tom Waits, nicely done. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Let's get to questions. Multiple questions. One from our YouTube feed. One from Blair. Well, his is an observation, not a question. But they're about the same subject regarding grade issues, potential academic casualties. And Jimbo did answer that question today. The answer is no. There had been whispers that maybe a player or two would be something to worry about. Everybody on the beat had kind of compared notes about this summer, and really it was remarkably low. Usually you hear whispers during the offseason, sometimes about 4 or 5 different guys. This year, what I said on yesterday's show was not that somebody did have grade issues, but that I had only heard about 1 or 2 whispers, really, and that we would find out more once practice got underway. We'll see who's out there and who's not. He said that everybody was good to go.
Said that in his opening statement. Typically, you got to pry that out of Jimbo about, question 10 or 12 in the proceedings.
Yeah, and it was followed back up on, too. I mean, Gene Williams from Warchant asked, was anybody going to be missing for any reason? And I think he was expounding just in terms of injury or anything else. And, yeah, Jimbo basically said no. He took a long time to go over an entire list of the team there and looked like everybody was good to go. That's good news. And that included, by the way, in terms of people that aren't going to miss time and that are a full go, and certainly, obviously, that encompasses anybody who was rumored to have maybe grade issues, since there isn't anybody, so says Jimbo Fisher, with grade issues that we know of, and from an injury standpoint, too, and that included George Campbell, which was really good news. George Campbell, again, we all kind of raised an eyebrow because after the ACC meetings, he said, or ACC kickoff, that, the way he described it was that he was still limited and he wasn't real sure that he would, be able to get past this. That it sounded to me, I'll just tell you, it sounded to me that he was intimating that perhaps George Campbell was going to be a medical hardship of some kind at some point in his career. Without saying it, when a guy has been as hurt as long as he has and he's got a core issue and he's had surgery and it's still not better and it's been over a year, you begin to, assume certain things. And I know, maybe you shouldn't assume. But when the coach says just a few weeks ago, we'll see, it's kind of dicey, you begin to say, well, I'm not sure we're ever going to see this guy.
Yeah, but it was a little bizarre because the following week, there's Campbell tossing tires around and pushing golf carts, things that you would think would involve the core.
Well, he was holding 2 70-pound dumbbells running down the field. Yes.
Yeah, that too.
So, there's no doubt that you saw something then that contradicted this idea that he was still a casualty of the core injury. Listen, I do think it's interesting because he's a full go for practice. And we do think somebody else is going to have to step up in that receiving core. Now, he was right to point out, look, our two leading receivers in terms of touchdowns caught are back this year. They were there last year. And if they progress as one would think and continue to improve, then you're fine. You've got experience. You've got guys that played in big games. You've got guys who caught touchdown passes, big ones at that, and you should be good to go. Most people don't have 3 and 4 and 5 receivers that they're going to be counting on. They have 2 that they really feel good about and another that's going to have to step up.
Yeah, that's probably the area where he was most defensive today. Would that be fair to say? In terms of the question that your offense isn't going to have a whole lot of experience returning? And Jimbo said, well, hang on a minute now. There's a lot of experience. And to that end, I mean, Alec Eberle and Landon Dickerson are considered to be a full go as well for practice. And
the only other time that I would suggest that he was, I mean, I don't know about defensive, but he was profuse in his praises in his effort to praise Jacques Patrick. And if you want, play that audio because I thought that was interesting. I do want to follow up on this, just my view of the complimentary nature in which he described Jacques Patrick and what he said right after.
No, heck, Jacques Patrick's just starting back. He's had great. I always ask him to do in the 3 starts he's had, have what, 200-some yards, 180 yards, about 150 yards, something like that. A bunch of touchdowns. He's earned that right, and he'll go out there, and if he plays the best, he'll play. And he'll compete with the other guys. Jacques looks great. His body looks great. He can catch. He can run. He's proven he can do it at a good level. Love everything about him. He's got to go, continue to go play. And then you have to have other backs because of the position does dictate that. We got to have then we got to find out which young guys are going to step up and prove that they can do it. And if they do it better, they'll play. If they don't, then he'll play. I mean, it's that simple. But I'm very excited about watching Jacques. All
right, well, that's the nature of competition, of course. I don't think he's defensive. I think he's heard the criticism. I think he's heard people say that they think that he doesn't like Jacques Patrick. And what he's trying to tell you is that as a person, he loves Jacques Patrick. I think also what he's trying to say is he's earned the right to be the number 1 back coming into camp, and, oh, by the way, I'm going to play the hell out of those other running backs. Which is, hey, he is who he is. He's of use to us, and that may sound like a throwaway term, but he's a good player, but he's not a transcendent Dalvin Cook type player, and therefore other guys who are more explosive and who can light up the scoreboard and provide the big play a little bit easier are going to get ample opportunities to go along with what we give Jacques Patrick. It's a way of saying in so many words, Jacques is not the complete back, and he's not a feature back. He's a guy I like a lot, who's a good kid, who's done everything we've asked of him. And for you guys to suggest that I don't like him, it's wrong. But I don't think that anybody has ever questioned whether or not he personally likes Jacques Patrick. I think it's been more about what he does and doesn't provide in Jimbo's mind within the offense.
Well, in Jimbo's offense. Because, if you wanted to line up double tights and play big boy football, then he's your feature back. But we've never had a feature back that looks like Jacques. I think the closest player to him, I mean, at least from a build standpoint, is probably Carlos. I mean, James Wilder in style and situations, you might use him, but Carlos was a bigger body, and he obviously had more top-end speed. But to me, it just seems like, it's going to be a platoon until somebody grabs hold of it.
Which is great. That's why you bring in all these talented backs, and you have different styles. I mean, you can bludgeon people, or you can hit the home run. I mean, I think Amir Rasul is really going to get an awful lot of opportunities. It's going to be interesting there, too. I mean, Cam Akers is the superstar back that we're already salivating over because we got a glimpse of him right off the bat as an early enrollee here in the spring. He looked great. He looks like he's the total package. But Rasul's a kid, man, with really good top-end speed, and I think he's going to get chances as well.
And we've talked about this in the past couple of weeks when we're talking about what Jimbo's done in his time here, offensively speaking. There have been years where he's had a feature back. There have been years where he's had a stable, and he's used different guys for different situations. Hell, there have been years where a lot of guys, skill sets were similar, but it was just their turn. It was their turn in the drive, and they trade back and forth possession for possession. I just wonder about the subtext. Sometimes it's not just about what Coach Fisher is saying and declaring, like Rick Leonard is the starting left tackle. Sometimes it's about the messaging to begin camp. You know,
I thought he did a lot of messaging.
Your position to the players, speaking to the players.
Oh, well, I think there's no question he was speaking to the players. And by the way, he capped it all off with trying to convince his players to stay off of Twitter and not follow message boards and don't listen to sports talk radio or read articles about the team because, as he put it, that's all garbage. Well, I get it. I think if I were a head coach, I would forbid it. I have said before, there's really nothing good that can be gleaned if you're a kid on a team, part of a team, high profile as this is. It doesn't do you any good to read Twitter or to be on somebody's Facebook page or to follow what they're talking about in afternoon sports talk radio or on the message boards of a website. I mean, that's a lot of people's opinions about a subject they're all passionate about. It has its place, but not in the locker room and not in your dome, man, as an actual player.
That stuff's garbage.
It is to a coach or to a player. It is. It doesn't do you any good. There's nothing good that can come out of it. And that includes you reading about how great you are. If you're on that end of things, there's really nothing good that can come out of it. And there aren't that many people at that age, and this is true of everybody who's 18, 19 years old, that can really internalize that stuff, read that stuff, and have it just really kind of bounce off of them and not affect them in some way or another. And so, you know, I've said before about our role on this show and the roles of people that cover the team and have to give opinions and are paid to do so. That's probably the toughest aspect. It's also the most fun because you do realize not everybody heeds that warning. Not everybody listens to their coaches and chooses to ignore what somebody like me says or somebody like Gene Williams or somebody else writes about or Bud Elliott or whoever, right? I mean, and so those kids, they can look at that stuff, and most of them, I don't think, are impervious to either the compliments or the criticism. So I get why Jimbo thinks it's garbage, and I think all coaches do.
From a selfish standpoint, I'm not happy that Jimbo is wrangling in his team and social media and messaging and telling them to stay away from all that stuff. I'm just glad that we got a new clip to use when the Bowl Swag segment comes up.
That stuff's garbage.
Yeah, when it's the belt buckle again. Then
I forgot about the belt buckle, my man. I forgot about the belt buckle.
I think it was the Alamo Bowl. It was one of the Texas Bowls.
You know, something that I did get to do, Tom, and I didn't, I don't know, do we have enough time we can do it here? I think we do. Right at the end of the press conference, I got a chance to kind of go up, and there was nobody around. He was sort of standing there and looking around, and I thought, I wonder if I could get this on the record. And then again, I thought maybe I shouldn't. Should we save it? Yeah, we'll save it. Let's just save it. We'll use it maybe in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll present it. I did ask him a question, and it'll be a lot of fun. His response is perfect, but we'll use it. Let's just use it in the 4.
Yeah, you sent me the audio.
You have it over there? Yeah. Save it now.
Save it?
Well, right. I'm a little worried the folks at Seminoles.com, I mean, it was their audio. They picked it up, and I feel kind of bad. I don't know if they want me to use it. So let's check in over there, and we'll find out later. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility, says it's summertime, and summertime is the time to go green and save energy. Here are a few simple things you can do right now that will save energy while you try to keep out of the summer heat. First thing, get your air conditioner checked out and change your air filters. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much energy and money you can save. Going away from home on vacation? Why not purchase a programmable thermostat to regulate your air conditioner while you're not at home? Talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan service department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-478-0834. 800-478-0834. 800-478-0834. That's 800-478-0834.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. So who is the best player in college football? According to ESPN, it's Derwin James. In an article published by ESPN, James was ranked the #1 player in the country, ahead of guys like Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield and USC's Sam Darnold, who's even ahead of Lamar Jackson, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. Other Noles making that list: DeAndre Francois at number 11, Josh Sweat number 24, and Tavares McFadden at number 25. Well, the NFL says it may be willing to work with the NFL Players Association to study the use of marijuana as pain management. The league wrote a letter to the NFLPA offering to work with them to study the potential use by players as a pain management tool. And you've heard of UCF kicker Donald De La Haye. He's a YouTube sensation. Now the NCAA has ruled him ineligible after he refused to give in to the NCAA's demands for him to stop monetizing on his very popular YouTube channel.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, start of the college football edition of the program. That's a good thing, right? Online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. You hanging in over there, Sickly?
Yeah, I'm all right, playing through some pain. But go tell it to Moses, right?
That's right. Moses McCray on that bike right now. I just heard Lee Gordon with the local sports center note, "You've heard of Donald De La Haye?" And I went, "No, never. I have no idea who that is." Apparently, he's a YouTube sensation. Hence the reason I had no idea who he was. Anyhow, the NCAA ruling him ineligible. Is that for advertising, Tom? Did you know who Donald De La Haye is?
No.
No. He's a YouTube sensation.
Oh, well, you know.
There you go.
They want to be YouTube sensations. I want to be somewhere else. That's my rule.
They're YouTube sensations. He is a YouTube sensation. Well, I don't begrudge somebody making money off of it, but there you go. NCAA says tough luck. I don't make it a habit to know who UCF kickers are typically. Nothing against them. JCS at 979 ESPNradio.com. For the email on Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. WTSM for mobile devices. That's the app. You can watch us on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. Thanks for doing that. And by the way, if you go back and catch up later in the day on our podcast, just remember it's sponsored by CarltonDean.com. Teaching you ways to make money in commercial real estate, CarltonDean.com. Jimbo Fisher press conference lasted nearly an hour today. We spent much of the first hour talking about that very thing. That is always an exciting time, always an interesting time as we kind of embark now on a season. Every year I can think back to his press conference. I can think back to those that I've covered. Several people noted, Tom, sort of the opposite of what your impression was, and I'm somewhere in between, that they thought he looked tired. I think he always looks tired at this press conference. He looks healthy, though. There's a difference, and he has for some time now. And the reason you bring that up is you're always just looking for any sign of stress or, an indicator of where Jimbo Fisher's head's at heading into camp. We look at it primarily not to do with the personal life, but rather the football program, which has to consume these guys that are head coaches across college football, especially at big-time universities. And so you do want to see where somebody's coming from, whether they look absolutely exhausted and frustrated and worried, or if they are footloose and fancy-free and excited about camp because they know they got a loaded squad. I thought it was a little bit of both. I think the day before this press conference and before the start of practice, I think coaches everywhere look tired when they come in the next day. I think they do. They've probably spent the majority of the day before wide awake. I can't imagine you sleep much. I mean, whatever you do for a living or whatever floats your boat, whatever the thing is that makes you most excited, and if you're lucky, it is the very same thing you do for a living. Not everybody gets that good fortune. You're always on edge before important points within that job. You know, if it's given a presentation, in this case, if it's an important broadcast, a pregame show before the Alabama game or something like that, you feel a little extra something. And that can't be any different for coaches. If, in fact, it's got to be for every coach, or else you would do what Bob Stoops does. You would realize that's not there anymore. You would say to yourself, I'm not all that excited to go to camp next month, and you'd walk away. Because I don't think you can do that job without heightened passion for it. I think to invest the amount of time and energy and emotion that one has to have to relate to kids and to steer a program that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars and the weight of the responsibility that comes with it, you had better love it, you had better be passionate about it, and you'd better be willing to sacrifice your time and, in some cases, certainly your sleep in order to make sure that it's where it needs to be, especially as you start a new season. And so getting your ducks in a row, figuring out whether your kids are eligible or not or what they have to do to be eligible, finding out about your injury situation, setting up your practice for the very first day, which is going to set the tone for the season, what your message is going to be to the incoming freshmen that have not had to go through this before, what your message is to the veterans, the spots on the roster where competition is going to be heightened, the message to your coaching staff, and Jimbo Fisher, no doubt, I think probably with a strong message, in particular to the defensive side of the football, after what was a unmitigated disaster to start the year a season ago. I think there's a lot on his plate, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's true of coaches everywhere. And I think certainly there's an added dimension when expectations are high and when you have a game like this against Alabama and when you have, I think, the pressure to be one of those elite teams, really according to almost any outlet that covers college football and ranks teams, and you can argue about how important those rankings are or are not. They're certainly seen. I'll give you an example. The ACC meetings in Charlotte, there was a preseason mag laying on one of the desks for one of the radio stations, Radio Row in Charlotte. I was on the furthest right side as you walk into the room, and next to me was a station that covers Clemson, the Roar, where
Walt Deptula
is on, and I've been on his show, and he's been on this one. And then next to him was a station out of North Carolina, and next to him was Sirius XM, and next to them. And so I'm watching the interviews, and Jimbo came over, which he's always great to do, and did my interview first, and then kind of did the other stations. But that's because that's how we roll around here.
It's important to note that.
It's important to note that. That's right. But I could watch it all play out. Well, what I thought was funny is when he got over to do an interview with this one particular station, they had one of the many preseason magazines that are out, and they were coming back from commercials. So he was waiting as he put the headset on. He's thumbing through that magazine, and I'm standing to the kind of the back left. I could see what he's looking at. He's looking at the rankings. He wanted to see where they had Florida State. He's looking at where we're ranked. It was great. He went straight to the rankings. I think the coaches are always aware of that stuff. They may not lend credence to it, but they are certainly aware of it. And I think certainly if you're a preseason number 1 or a preseason number 2 and you play Alabama the first game of the year, that just ratchets up the pressure that much more. You would be exhausted because you're focusing all of your energy and your time, your thought process, everything is geared towards one thing.
Yeah, to explain, I guess, a little bit of how I felt the way he looked. There have been years where his opening press conference, he looks like he's completely frayed at the nerves. And I don't mean to say that he's rattled. I just mean to say that he's clearly micromanaging, and this media availability is such a
pain
nuisance.
in his ass.
Yes, that he's over it before he's there. There have been years early in his tenure where he looked like, I was fond of saying, Jeff Van Gundy in the middle of an
dark
NBA
circles,
season.
yeah.
He just looked tired as hell. Then there have been a couple of years where he looks healthy, ready to go. But the demeanor, I think, is where I'm looking at here. I suppose maybe he looked a little tired. You're in the room. I'm watching it back and recording the audio.
Yeah, I thought he looked a little tired, but he didn't look frayed, and he certainly didn't look angry to be there. He was in a talkative mood, and I thought it could always go either way. You're right. Depends oftentimes, too, the kind of news he got before he walked into the room. They're still waiting on answers in some cases. Some of it's academics, some of it's injuries, some of it's a lot of things. So if he gets bad news right before he walks in the room, you can usually tell because the first few answers are short and to the point, and he gives you the vibe, hey, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, and I think he got that way around the 20-minute mark, but then he hit a second wind. To me, it looked like he was letting that process come to him. There are times when it looks like he just wants to filibuster you for his opening statement, and he's really done. Okay? I've hit down everything.
Yeah.
Can we be done with this now? Today it looked like he was looking out to all the meetings. He says, "Come on, what you got for me? Let's talk today." You know, when he opened and he talked about, "I can't believe this is year number 8. Time really flies." It just, I think it furthers the idea that he's starting to see the forest for the trees.
I think that's true. I think that's true, yeah.
And he's letting the whole process come to him a little bit more.
By the way, this subject matter is one of my favorites, even if it's not somebody else's. And I hate it that I might bore the hell out of my audience sometimes. But in covering the team for as long as I have now, and I do take a step back and look at those years, I kind of reminisced about that on Monday. I do find more interest in covering, if kind of removing any sort of connection to FSU and sort of viewing it as this guy's got one of the most important jobs in college football. College football is changing. The money has changed college football, and the pressures are greater now than they've ever been. And what coaches can and can't do has changed quite a bit in the way that they interact with the media, the way that they relate to their players, their administration, and then I think also the way they go about coaching, because the time constraints and the things that have been taken from them. I find that almost like a male soap opera, it very fascinating to watch a guy, and maybe because I didn't get the opportunity to do this all those years ago when Bowden took a job at a program that was not firmly established as anything yet. So I didn't get to watch that. I did as a fan, as a kid, going to games with my dad. I watched the Bowden era and legacy be born, and I watched what became a program of merit, of note, and one that has built up now an awful lot of cachet in the ranks of college football, in large part because of what Bowden built. But I've got to see Jimbo Fisher come in on the ground floor, if you will, to come in as an offensive coordinator, to be named head coach in waiting, and then to take the helm. And I've gotten to see the triumphs and some of the pitfalls, and I got to see the controversy and how a coach dealt with that, how an administration dealt with that. That was all while I was in press. And so watching him become at ease in the position, and to let some of the frivolous stuff go and see the bigger picture and become a guy that is sort of more comfortable in his own shoes, that the success that came with winning a conference championship and then later a national championship, and having firmly established himself now as a guy that, without question, no matter what you think of him, game day or recruiting or personality, no, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you would want to look at to prop up or to tear down, there's no avoiding the fact that Jimbo Fisher, not that you would want to, but there's no getting around the fact, is a better way of describing it, that Jimbo Fisher is a top 10 coach in college football. Certainly you can argue top 5 coach in college football. And I think he's really aware of what he's accomplished and done. And he doesn't allow himself to get bogged down by some of the things that just 4 and 5 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, he certainly would have. I find that fascinating. I find the growth of the man, of the coach, the things that have happened on and off the field, all of that very interesting. So when I go into these press conferences, I kind of look at it as, all right, well, what am I going to learn that's new about who he is as a head coach at Florida State, how he sees this job, what his responsibility is, what he thinks of a team or a player. That's all in there, but it comes from a different perspective than it was even 5 and 6 years ago. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, to me, again, you touched on it just at the end of last hour. I think the idea about you shouldn't care what anybody else says, when he was clearly talking to his players and
that's what,
the way he coaches his players. Don't worry about Twitter, social media, media in general.
Sure.
You shouldn't care what they say, and they shouldn't care what you say. Just go about and do what you have to do. Listen, I don't know that I buy that all the way. That's tough to put in practice. It really is, when somebody is criticizing either your program or one of your kids who you value and you form relationships with. But the idea that he'd say it, I think, is an indicator that Jimbo is in a much more comfortable place, and it's ever evolving, that he's getting more comfortable in his own skin and with the clout of the job that he has and the job that he's done at Florida State.
Here's what I think has changed. See, I've come to understand, I think, by and large, and if they don't, then they're going to have a problem, and I've figured this part of it out too. I don't think Nick Saban cares for 1 second what anybody in the media says about Nick Saban. I mean, unless you're, besmirching the man's reputation, calling him a cheat or something that attacks who he is. But in terms of Nick has a bad game, like he did at the end of the Auburn game that they lost, there were some poor decisions made as a head coach that allowed for the kick, the field goal kick. What did they call it? The kick six?
Yeah, kick six. Yeah.
So the kick six, he made some mistakes. But he is so established as arguably the greatest coach in college football history. What the hell does he care if Paul Feinbaum comes on the next day and tells everybody that Nick Saban made mistakes? Nick Saban doesn't care about Paul Feinbaum. He doesn't care about anybody in that field, right? It's not. He shouldn't. He has no need to. Coaches who get worried about what I say or what a writer writes or any of that stuff that's outside the program, out of the realm of what they can control, are going to have problems because they're focused on the wrong things. And rabbit ears, that ain't the way to go about it. Have faith in what you do and trust in what you do and understand you're in the position you're in for a reason and not worry yourself about that. What coaches get pissed about, and they will almost always respond to in a negative way, and this I get, is if you attack players personally, if you cross the line when it comes to players, then they'll come at you. They'll get mad at you. He used to care about the stuff that pertained to him. He used to care that, word would get back that I said this or somebody wrote that or somebody thought this on a message board or somebody. He would hear about those things, and I know way back when it would bother him. I don't think it does anymore. I don't think he really thinks about that at all. It's about the program. It's about the kids. I think he's secure enough in his own shoes not to worry about the daily discussion of a play call against NC State or a decision to do this or not do that. I think it's more about whether or not you're portraying a kid fairly, or if you're, maybe if you ignore facts or something, he'll come at you. But beyond that, the opinions of the day-to-day stuff, I don't think he really, really burdens himself with.
Well, it's a natural progression, and, I think sometimes everybody forgets. I sound like Jimbo now. See, you know what you don't realize? This is his first head coaching gig, At the same time, we're judging him against the Urban Meyers and Nick Sabans of the world. This is his first chance to be the head man at a university. He's doing pretty damn good for a first stop.
Oh, well, exceptionally well for his first stop as a head coach. I mean, extraordinarily well, as in historically great is what he's been for a first-time head coach. That's irrefutable. It should be noted, too, that some of that growth was likely stunted because of all the controversy for a non-crime, for what we had to go through for 2 years, and his having to battle that from a PR standpoint on a daily basis.
And since he's been here for so long, and I think this would be his 10th season, right, if in some capacity here at Florida State, it's like he's going into a second job. Urban Meyer or Nick Saban, they bounced around from university to university because they got better opportunities and they won wherever they went. But, Jimbo is entering almost a second life cycle. He likes to talk about how teams have 1 year lifespans.
Right.
Yeah, but, when you're a coach and you have an entire group that you've recruited, I mean, Nate Andrews being the lone exception because he was here, I feel like, back in 2008.
Prehistoric days.
Yeah, exactly. Like pre-Jimbo, like post-Jimbo.
He was Bowden's last recruit.
Yeah, exactly. But, when you've seen a whole group come up and then purge and then another group is coming in, it's got to feel like you're at a new place in a sense, especially consider the facilities and the infrastructure that he walked in here in 2008 and saw versus what he walks into as an office today.
I also think that's another aspect that I do find intriguing just from covering the program, covering his career since he's been at Florida State standpoint. The idea that Steve Spurrier posited all those years ago towards the end of his time at the University of Florida, that a coach, in all likelihood, somewhere right around 10 years, 10, 11 years, should probably look to move on because you're no longer appreciated. Your accomplishments are not appreciated as much after a certain amount of years go by. And also, you begin to grow bitter and sour about certain things that have happened in your time in any one place. This is true of all of us, any one place, 10, 11, 12 years. You get slighted, you get praised, and everything in between. And, over time, you see those things differently. But at that time, Spurrier thought that you shouldn't stay anywhere for more than 10 years. It would just be good to get a new set of eyes on a place and for you to start fresh to kind of recharge the engines. Now, he went against the very thing that he posited that day when he said that. When he got to South Carolina, he stayed longer. Or he stayed longer in Florida, too. So what I find fascinating about that is that he didn't follow his own advice there. That's the next big story. Is Jimbo here for good?
Yeah, well, the question is, how much does he like this group, which he talked about, we mentioned it to start the show, that the freshman class, clearly he thinks he's going to get an awful lot out of, because he was quick to point out, we learned lessons from last season. And hang on a minute now.
Right.
While we've learned lessons, we got 20 new guys here. And then you look at the 18 and 19 classes, things are shaping up pretty nicely for Florida State.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he should want to go anywhere.
He's recruiting he's going to be here for a while. Because
I don't think he knows any other way, though. He's a good recruiter, right? He's going to make sure if he is staying, Tom, that his cupboard is full. He's not going to be out there half-stepping and giving people ammunition. He did say that today at the press conference, too. Another good way to have a great offseason is bring in good players. I was like, that's the answer right there, right? Alabama's consistently good because Nick's a good coach. Oh, and he brings in really good players, and most of the time when they take the field, they actually have better players than the people they're playing against. That helps you win football games, that's for sure.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey,
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shop's work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050. Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned carts starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Kind of beyond what Jimbo had to say today, looking more to the start of college football all around the country, some other interesting ideas or thoughts as to what we're going to see. You know, one of them right off the bat is with Bama. One of the questions that was asked in SI's preview, I had already thought about and talked about some, but how they use Bo Scarborough. And that will be interesting because they've got as talented a group of running backs as you'll find, and it may not be solely his show. 454 yards, 6 touchdowns. You're looking back at some of the stuff he did, but a lot of people think Damian Harris and others probably get more attention this year's Alabama. How we do against the run game, and the idea to me that you have to force Jalen Hurts to beat you throwing the football. And if Jalen Hurts beats you throwing the football, then you tip your cap and you move on and you say, okay, that kid's improved. Because throwing the ball down the field with accuracy consistently is something that I'll take my chances against our secondary, that he doesn't pull off consistently enough to win the football game.
Yeah, and the running game, too, includes Hurts, of course. And,
with big time.
Yeah, and, I watched a lot of last night, some of the classic football games are on ESPNU, and then I flipped over to the SEC network. I do pay that extra $10 a month instead of tilling the land. And I just see some of the angles that he can create with his speed. And it does
He's
terrify
also a
you a little
big
bit.
bitch, man. He's a big dude.
I mean, Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Auburn last year was a team that was mostly relying on its defense. Stop the presses for Malzahn.
What are we doing here?
That was the case. And some of the things that he could do on broken plays, Hurts I'm talking about, we always talk about how it's always harder for a defense to stop a quarterback who can run. But that kid can create some space in ways that are really annoying, and I think are going to annoy us in a handful of plays. So when those moments happen, do you have a bust down the field, or do you keep him contained? Do you have the right guy, be it a Marshall or a Derwin James, of course, second half for Trey Marshall, on Hurts, and can they close the gap? Because that is another facet to their offense that it's going to be really hard to account for from start to finish in the game.
He's going to make plays. I think there's a certain amount of understanding that when you play a team that's that talented, you're going to give up some points no matter how well you play. And part of it is because the athletes are such that, they can make guys miss who are in the right spot. They can break tackles. They can fit a ball in some cases that other quarterbacks can't with arm strength, whatever it might be. I mean, he has a big-time arm. He's not always the most accurate, but either it's Lamar Jackson, and he fit some balls in windows last year against us that the coverage was good, and what are you going to do? A guy's feeling it that day, and I think a lot of times when those guys are having success running the football, it bleeds over into throwing the football.
Oh, it does. It's about comfort. He was very comfortable, was Lamar Jackson.
Way too comfortable.
And think about, even though we didn't win that game, but think about the way we called plays in the first half. We went up to Clemson back in 2015, and how Watson was not comfortable. We were giving defensive looks, exotics that he had never seen before, and he was a non-factor for the first half. Now, of course, he's a great player, and he dialed it up in the second half, and they ran him a lot more traditionally. But the way Alabama, at least last year, ran its offense, we'll see about this year with how much Hurts has come along and what the new offensive coordinator.
They're going to run him.
But there's so much eye candy in the backfield. I feel like I am talking about Auburn for a second, but there's so much eye candy and movement, and a lot of the stuff is a zone read look, and all of a sudden you got a guy releasing in the flat, and then there's Hurts making a 3-yard pass, and it might turn into a gain of 7 or 12 if you're not getting your angles right and your eye discipline isn't where it needs to be. It's just the reputation of Alabama says, can your defensive line stack up against their offensive line and stop the traditional run? Akin to
that's the first prodding, right? Let's see what you got there.
Well, but it's akin to the games that we saw for years with them and LSU, and those were wars. Where 17 points probably wins you the football game. But that's not so this year. They've also got that added extra element where on the perimeters you've got to be sound. The backside you have to be sound. Everybody needs to be where they need to be and stay where they need to be because the rushing attack isn't just about what Scarborough can do between the tackles.
Yeah, I get nervous, and yet the defensive side of the ball is what I'm most confident in. I go into this game saying, there are all these areas that I worry about, but our defense against their offense isn't the one that I'm falling back on. I mean, in terms of worry, it's everything else. Damian Harris is a wonderful talent. Bo Scarborough is a wonderful talent. They've got Joshua Jacobs. They got the Harris kid. But Calvin Ridley is on his way to the National Football League and a true weapon. Now, all that stuff comes into play. We think about those things all the time. But with Alabama, to me, I go back to the other side time and again and say, are we going to be able to block what they bring to the table defensively? And I can't know that, and I won't know that. And nothing we do in terms of speculation and game planning on the air is really going to tell me that until we get in the trenches and watch them mano a mano.
Even if you could talk yourself into a comfortable place based upon what we hear out of camp and what Jimbo says and the players say, yeah, you're absolutely right. When they line up, it's 1st and 10 from 25, and we're playing Bama for real, you're going to be nervous. You're going to be watching those trenches going, I don't want to know the answer to this. I hope it's good, but it's a nervous time for me.
You don't anticipate being able to block Deron Payne and those guys, consistently well. I don't think. I wouldn't anyhow. I mean, most teams really struggle to do that. I'll tell you what, early in this game, if it's just neutralized, if it's a 50-50 thing and it's just balanced and nobody's getting the better end, I'll get very excited because I do think you can make hay against their secondary. Now, we're a long way out from breaking this game down, and today's not the day for it. But you think about these things with a game that's this big on the horizon on the day that camp opens up.
Yeah, but you at least have some answers as to who the leaders in the clubhouse are for certain positions. Rick Leonard being named at least the starter at left tackle.
Did you find that fascinating? I mean, that was interesting. He was kind of eager when he was asked about the offensive line, about starters. Today, for those that missed the press conference, Jimbo did bring up that Rick Leonard is moving from right tackle to left tackle, and they feel that he's ready to do that. This after they had said that they didn't want to move him from right to left because they thought he was really comfortable over there on the right side. So his idea was that Ricky's come a long way and he's practiced at it and he feels comfortable. We get a lot of questions and on Twitter and in the email, and they started with the idea that Brock Rubel was going to begin practice as the number one right tackle option. But I'm here to say, because that scares the hell out of a lot of you guys, and I get it. Foot speed, the Boston College game, going back to the horror as we were watching that play out.
Yeah.
You're like, this ain't going to work. He can't block him. I got you. Jimbo didn't make it sound like that thing was in pin. He rattled off anybody that's ever played the position that was going to be in competition on that right side. He mentioned Derek Kelly. Hell, he mentioned Landon Dickerson may move from guard. And let me bring this up. When he said that, I thought, okay. In my mind, and I'm speculating, Alec Eberle is healthy at center. And that is going to affect the competition at right tackle. And you might go, They believe Eberle's stronger. He can bend more, that he's had the surgery to remove pieces of shave down pieces of his hip bone. That's amazing. But anyhow, that he's got more flexibility and a base underneath him now, and that he's stronger. So all of a sudden, perhaps the battle at center isn't a battle at all. It's Alec Eberle's job. Well, Bavion Johnson came an awful long way in spring. They were very pleased with him. Athletic, big, strong kid, not somebody you're going to root around, big ass, all that stuff. He could play guard. When you hear Landon Dickerson's name being talked about as possibly playing right tackle, it tells me that we get back to this best five on the field thing, right? And that what you have is Minshew at left guard, Ricky Leonard at left tackle, Alec Eberle at center. And if by chance nobody can man that right side that they're comfortable with at tackle, then it's Landon Dickerson at right tackle and perhaps Bavion Johnson at right guard.
Yeah, it does give you hope that there are options. Again, I thought, as we talked about with Jacques Patrick, there's messaging going on, and I think the offensive line group is included there with Josh Ball and Juwan Williams, and what exactly they're. After spring, we thought, all right, you at least got some options for left tackle. Rick Leonard was not on that list. We were talking about Ball and Williams, and we thought the size is there. There were moments, at least in the spring game, the overvalued spring game, as Lee Sterling is fond of doing. But, what are the realistic options in the fall? Well, that just got turned on its head 10 minutes into his presser today, that Rick Leonard is left tackle. I think, honestly, again, that's just a message to, okay, you thought the left tackle job was yours by default because Ricky's going to be right? No. You got to compete and you got to earn your way, which means that if you combine Rubel and Dickerson, that you have 5 options for the 2 tackle jobs. Love it. I love that. You've got 5 real options for the tackle jobs. And then in the interior, you've got another 4 or 5 realistic options for guard to guard, including center. That's great. We're in a position where if I'm going to take comfort in anything, it's that you have choices. It's not the default 5, and I hope they can handle it this year. It's fall camp is going to be full of competition, and we should see at least some elevated play amongst the pool of 10 to 11 players that we have competing for 5 spots. We're not usually in that position.
I feel like Derek Kelly has also played football here for about 25 years. And that he was mentioned in this as well. I mean, they tried everything they could to get Derek Kelly off the damn field. I don't know how he fell out of their good graces, but that was the end of that. But he was mentioned again today, too.
Okay, if he's part of a tackle option, then that's 6 people at tackle.
I think he is part of it. I think it's Brock Rubel, Landon Dickerson, Derek Kelly, Rick Leonard, and Juwan Williams, Josh Bell. So Rick Leonard's going to play left tackle, but I'm just saying if you're looking at all the tackles.
But think about that here at Florida State and what we've been dealing with. There have been times where the offensive line's been inconsistent and we've been frustrated. That is duly noted. But if you look at the depth, this is uncharted water where you have experienced depth and you have guys coming into their own sophomore, junior seasons as options, real options.
Yeah, the dearth is at center. It's what we think because it looks like Alec Eberle is going to be the guy, and now they're going to have to find a place for Bavion, who they like a lot. Hey, listen, if Eberle can man the post, and if he can make it happen, if that can be his, and the guy's been through hell, and he's played through it, and he's worked hard. I got nothing against him. He just wasn't the caliber of center that we're going to need to routinely win those battles. But maybe he's a different player altogether. He's certainly the most experienced. He's certainly tough. I bless his heart. I mean, listen, I don't mean that in the sarcastic way. Jimbo said, what did he say? He's squatting over 600 pounds or something like that, he said today, and he's benching over 400. I mean, he's strong enough, and if he's got the flexibility and bend, and he can do what we're asking them to do with the reach and all that, then okay.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, if you have an underperformer at guard, you feel an awful lot better about plugging in a Bavion Johnson or something along those lines. And I think, if Dickerson truly is, and we'll get reports as to who's at camp and who's physically ready to go. Jimbo said everybody's ready to go from an injury standpoint and an academic standpoint, but we'll look at these first couple of practices and availabilities to see who's physically on the field and ready. You look at all the options we have, and you say to yourself, okay, I like what we have at center, at least 2 or 3 options. And that's Eberle, Bavion, and even Baselli, who they do like. It's just, is he physically mature enough right now?
Yeah, probably not.
Well, all of a sudden, yes, if Eberle holds down that position, you have 2 potential options at guard. And then Landon Dickerson, being as valuable as he is, we already like his nastiness, but if he can be a guard/tackle, if there's attrition during the season, if there's attrition during the first month of the season when you're going against a bunch of great defensive lines, you feel so much better that you're insulated from a problem. Whereas back in 2013, you had 1 strike and Austin Barron was on the field. And then after that, you had no answers. So as we go through this first month of the season, that you have 8, 9, 10 guys that you feel okay about and you can work around, that football is a war of attrition. And so if you suffer an injury to the offensive line, it's not a death knell, and that's where I feel good.
Landon Dickerson's a badass, man. That guy.
He's a little nasty.
By the time he leaves here, I'm going to be very, very excited to see what kind of player he is, because he's that's a big dude, and that's a tough guy. I mean, he's 6'6", 320 pounds with some what for?
Right. Let's say Leonard gets hurt, in game 1 or game 2. Then you can slide Dickerson out, and then if Eberle takes down center, then Bavion comes in, takes out right guard or left guard. Yeah, you can see where all of a sudden they've got some plug-and-play work here.
That's a big dude. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. Even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills 1 person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility, says it's summertime, and summertime is the time to go green and save energy. Here are a few simple things you can do right now that will save energy while you try to keep out of the summer heat. First thing, get your air conditioner checked out and change your air filters. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much energy and money you can save. Going away from home on vacation? Why not purchase a programmable thermostat to regulate your air conditioner while you're not at home? Talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan service department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
It's interesting that when we went over there today for the press conference, Elliot Feinblum was talking about whether or not they had been contacted. Somebody asked him for a lot of, the build-up stuff going on to Alabama. How many pieces was ESPN going to do? How often were they going to be in town? Trevor Maddich was just in town, for example, to talk to Derwin James because they have an absurd college football ranking of players, which really it's just dumb, just like the Heisman's dumb. But okay, there's that piece. But Maddich is here all the time. I know Trevor pretty well. We have a pretty good rapport, me and Trevor.
Yeah, you guys meet up once a year, it seems, for the radio game day.
Yeah, bare minimum. Hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to him again this year. I think he's always fair. I mean, we've had disagreements, but he's always fair in talking those out. Also, I just don't know how you can do that. I mean, Derwin James didn't play last year. Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy and was accounted for more than 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. How does a guy that didn't play a game, played one game last year, how is he ranked ahead of the guy that won the Heisman and put up all those numbers? It's just very subjective. It's very difficult to do. I do think it's one of those where you're obviously looking at somebody's potential, what they might be able to do this year. And Derwin's a freak of freaks, but in terms of accomplishment, he hasn't really done anything.
Yeah,
I guess, I'm sorry, people will take that and run with it the wrong way. Compared to some others that would have been in this group to pick from, he hasn't achieved as much.
Sure, especially for someone entering their junior season,
And it's not his fault that he got hurt, but he did.
No, but I think it's fair to say, and I had this debate a little bit last week when we were talking about Derwin isn't the cure-all for the defense. He's going to change the game for the positive for us. He's going to impact the game in great ways. But, that aside, I think he and Lamar Jackson are the two most unique players in college football, side by side.
Yeah, maybe there are some guys that we just don't see very often. I mean, the guys that play at places that, I understand what you're saying. The guys can do more from their position than you're accustomed to seeing.
Well, I mean, he can be a pass rusher on third down, Derwin James can. He can be a linebacker, a safety, a corner.
Right, he may be the most versatile player.
Yeah, he's completely unique, and he's a freak athletically who can knock over a right tackle as an 18-year-old person.
Yeah, but I'm going to sit here and tell you that I have never been at a practice and watched James Washington, the wide receiver at Oklahoma State, who's had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. I don't know what he is as an athlete or anything. You know what I mean? None of us, nobody gets to do that. There are places in the country that are just so far removed from here. We're not there on a day-to-day basis. We're talking about the best athletes in the country doing amazing things. And I just don't know that for a kid that has yet to really put it all together in a single season, due to injury, as a mature, fully, I guess, understanding of the defense, etc., Derwin may go out and earn that ranking, and he may end up being the best player in college football this year. I hope so. It means Florida State's had one hell of a year on defense. It's just a weird thing to see him ranked number 1.
Message board headline. Jeff Cameron, Derwin James sucks. I can see it. There it is. You've claimed it. You've owned it.
Yeah, but I mean, Dexter Lawrence is a stud at Clemson. The kid that we were talking about a moment ago that just abused Brock Landry, the kid at Boston College, who just embarrassed his ass.
We haven't seen Derwin. We don't have practice film of Derwin going against Mr. Rubel. It could be pretty advantageous for Mr. James.
Landry had 16.5 sacks last year. Mm-hmm. He's really freaking good.
Can he play safety? Can he play corner? I don't think he can.
Well, let's see Derwin play a whole bunch of corner before I decide that that's what he can do. I'm not sure that,
If he can cover in space, and we saw it in one limited moment last year, the pick against Ole Miss, but he matched coverage on that play brilliantly, Jeff. That one play. We saw it.
He did.
We've seen it.
He did on that play, sure. Yeah, I'm not going to assign all these supposed abilities and attributes just yet until I see my man do it.
Doubling down.
No, stop it. It's ridiculous. I mean, we've got this kid as going to win the Heisman was a headline at one point, or he was being defensive players don't win the Heisman. It's not going to happen. Stop that. It's ridiculous. He's potentially a great player. And in the limited sample size that we've seen of him, he's awesome to watch. And he's athletic and nasty and tough, and I think a huge asset and potentially one of the best players in college football. But I would not put him at number 1 given the limited amount of games that he's played in.
If he's Telvin Smith from a leadership standpoint, combined with the fact that you can line him up in the slot, on the edge, linebacker, defensive end on third and obvious, and maybe even center field, man, there won't be a more valuable player if he gets everybody lined up. We just got done last week talking about how Noddy can change a game. If he's like anything close to Timmy Jernigan, he can change the face of a game. But at the same time, if you're lined up in such a way that a quarterback can take the ball from the snap and fire it immediately to somebody who doesn't have anybody within 10 yards of him, that maybe that's what Derwin can bring to the table. Maybe he can smooth some things over.
Hey, by the way, Jimbo didn't exclude using him on offense today.
That's correct.
That kind of got me excited, but I like silly things like that. I think you were the first to bring up you wanted to see him on offense.
No, you said receiver. You said
I wanted him to play wide receiver, yeah. And Jimbo brought it up. He didn't bring it up. He answered a question. It was brought up today, but he didn't exclude the idea, and he didn't even poo-poo it like it was something that was absurd. He was like, yeah, you certainly could do that. I was like, oh, what?
You could do that. You could line him up, throw the ball to him, maybe run a reverse. I don't know.
Right.
Any one of those
right,
things.
like something he's practiced.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when he said it, I went, oh, all right.
I'm telling you, buddy.
That's what I want to hear out of you.
Cam Akers, 42 yards downtown to Derwin James. There it is.
By the way, if I were going to add people to the list that I might consider at that position, number one, Minkah Fitzpatrick's pretty freaking good from Alabama, who we're going to play.
Can he rush the passer?
Probably. I think he can do a lot of things. Yeah, he's really good. He had, 111 tackles last year?
Can he bowl over a right tackle like Derwin James can?
8 interceptions. He might. He's pretty damn good.
I disagree.
Final hour forthcoming.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help.
800-298-5783. 800-298-5783. 800-298-5783. 800-298-5783.
The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today.
One more time.
The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today.
One more time.
The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today.
One more time. No! God, please, no! No! No!
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
It's back. The 14th annual Kingfish Shootout held in Carabel, Florida. August 5th and 6th is almost here. Entry fees are $300 per boat, and donations of $1,000 or more will receive one free boat entry. Fishing hours are Saturday 7 to 7 and Sunday 7 to 4. All boats must check in at the check-in station by 7 p.m. on Saturday and 4 p.m. on Sunday. Boats can be in the water but can't pass the checkout point until 6 a.m. both days. There will be a captain's meeting at Sea Quarters Marina Friday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Mandatory one person per boat must be present for rules. Sea Quarters Marina, 501 St. James Avenue, Highway 98, Carabel, 850-697-8400. Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina, and presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. So who is the best player in college football? According to ESPN, it's Derwin James. In an article published by ESPN, James was ranked the #1 player in the country, ahead of guys like Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield and USC's Sam Darnold, who's even ahead of Lamar Jackson, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. Other Noles making that list: DeAndre Francois at number 11, Josh Sweat number 24, and Tavares McFadden at number 25. Well, the NFL says it may be willing to work with the NFL Players Association to study the use of marijuana as pain management. The league wrote a letter to the NFLPA offering to work with them to study the potential use by players as a pain management tool. And you've heard of UCF kicker Donald De La Haye. He's a YouTube sensation. Now the NCAA has ruled him ineligible after he refused to give in to the NCAA's demands for him to stop monetizing on his very popular YouTube channel.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but hey, if you do, we got you covered. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's upon the conclusion of the program, and I might note that's all brought to you with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great sponsors, Southland Commercial, SVN. CarltonDean.com, the website to go learn more about ways to make money in commercial real estate. That includes off-market deals. Email the show if you want. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Busy day on the Jeff Cameron Show, obviously, as football is underway officially. Jimbo Fisher's press conference at 1 o'clock. I was there, asked a few questions, along with the other assembled media, as we get this thing started again. Another year 8 for Jimbo Fisher. Talked about that, how it's gone by so fast in his time here at Florida State. Really covered all the bases. A lengthy press conference. Went for almost an hour. Not something he always does for these opening remarks. But I thought insightful. We'll play you some sound from that momentarily. By the way, you can always email the show, jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter @JCameronShow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices. And we're on YouTube. Again, today, we weren't yesterday. We were down a man, the man across from me, out with migraine-like symptoms, but back in time for camp.
Yeah, exactly right.
You got to be back in time for camp.
Got to be back for camp.
Yeah.
You know, the day before camp, might be able to get right.
Yeah.
Never had a migraine before, so I don't know if this is. And
I don't think you had one. If you had one, you would not have been reaching out, talking to anybody in any capacity whatsoever. I'm told migraines, because I know a couple people who've had them, of course, and you can't move.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is light sensitivity was a big damn deal yesterday. That's why I thought it's unlike anything I've ever had before. But I think migraines are usually used rather liberally for some people.
Well, when you're skipping school?
Or something. Yeah, exactly.
Or something, right.
So I don't know what it was, and it still hurts like hell, but Moses McCray is my inspiration every day.
On that bike, working off the LBs, keeping the knees ready to roll.
Or Anquan Bolden playing with a fractured sinus membrane.
Yeah, that guy's not worried about your pain. He's at practice with his pain, trying to get better.
Ease his pain.
football starting today does some of that for obviously all of us who have been really, really, really chomping at the bit to get after this. You like that professionalism?
Wow.
That's well done.
That was not choreographed.
Don't try that at the house. That's for us pros. Audio, Jimbo Fisher. Let's talk big picture stuff, Tom. I know you got team personality. I know you got team culture. Anything else we want to delve into there? There's a lot to pick from.
Well, there was a question that you asked Jimbo about butting in, quote unquote, even though that's not really butting in when you're the head coach. But a defensive-minded head coach talks offense, like Nick Saban did when Jimbo Fisher was his underling. And what does Jimbo Fisher do as the head coach on the defensive side of the ball?
With so many eyes on that side of the ball after the rather dubious start to the season a year ago, I think that's fair to start there. I asked him exactly that question. Let's hear it.
Oh, yeah. I always ask questions. What we're doing, why we're doing it. Nick would do it. I mean, what are we, how are we doing? What are they doing on third down? How are you attacking it? I mean, aware of what the game plan was. Nick was it back then. We had to, and I always had to bounce a lot of things off of them. If you had that, would that bother you more? But we used to go at it and practice that way with schemes, and we worked it because we always, again, that's where we always did good on good, and we always got that, and we always are as a head coach. How are we attacking this? What's going to happen here? Why did that happen? Before, after, you give them freedom to do things, but at the same time, these guys need to be playing more. These guys, you always, as a head coach, you have to tap into that. You always have to be a part of all that. You have to let them coach, but at the same time, what we're trying to do. And also, what people don't realize, you want to split offense and defense up. What do you got to do to win a game? We split offense and defense, and it drives me crazy. You know what it tells me? No one's ever sat in a coaching room. No one's ever played on a team. Because how the defense plays to the offense and how the offense plays to the defense matters how you win. That's one of the most crucial things there is. That's what New England does so well. That's what we used to do over there. I think that's what we do here. You have to, they may be deficient, and it can vary game by game by what the opponent does. We're so caught up now in systems, and we're no huddle, and we're going to score. That's great. Do you get beat 49-48? Or do we have to slow it down? I mean, what you got to do to win the game. That's how I think. The rest of that doesn't matter. What do we got to do to win the game? And that doesn't mean we won them all, but we've been pretty daggone successful at the same time, doing what we have to do.
Yeah, there's a comfort level there in the way that he answered the question, I think, no doubt. And I was curious, given what happened last year, how much he does weigh in on the defensive side of the football and how much leeway does he give his coaches. Obviously, I think that's directly related to the kind of successes they're having or not having. If your defensive coordinator is having the kind of success that you see year in and year out at Clemson currently, Dabo Swinney, former wide receiver, isn't saying a damn thing in all likelihood. In fact, he ought not if he's wise. But on the other hand, if you're getting beat and you're giving up 40-plus points in a game and your offense has done enough to win the day, move the football consistently, and those results aren't happening, even if you have a lot of faith in the guy, I think certainly you'd want to check in and weigh in and see what exactly is going wrong, what's not translating from practice to the game day atmosphere and the response, under the lights. I'll tell you why I bring that up. Clearly, he likes Charles Kelly, and nobody's questioned Charles Kelly's knowledge of the game. But there's no getting around what happened last year from the first game on with Ole Miss. Guys misaligned and confused, and that's with Derwin James on the field, I might add, to the travesty that was the Louisville game. The North Carolina game at home. So many things lead me to believe that at that point he's going to weigh in a lot more. And so that's why I kind of asked the question. I was curious.
Well, it gives you a window into what Nick Saban did, because Jimbo molds so much of what he does after, what his mentor, his true, on-the-job mentor did when Jimbo was the offensive coordinator at LSU. And clearly, yes, he's going to be involved on that side of the ball, and I think we've seen different iterations over the years as head coach for Jimbo. I think with Mark Stoops, he was a little bit more hands-on. When Pruitt was here, I don't think he was as hands-on.
No, and it helped that we had unbelievable talent the year Pruitt was here. I mean,
that helped Pruitt.
We were
yeah,
so loaded because he went to Georgia and didn't exactly put up those kinds of numbers on defense.
No, and even then, September was a little dicey to start, and it wasn't until we made a couple of adjustments and Christian Jones, here's a correct usage of that name, was slid up to the front after Matthew Thomas got hurt, and he played the edge and he set the edge, and that was invaluable to what we did as a defensive line. They made a couple of quick adjustments after about 3 or 4 games, and then bam, that defense was one of the best in program history. And I think Jimbo goes back and forth on whoa, giddy up, micromanager, or let it all play out. Last year, clearly, at some point, probably after the North Carolina game, he had to say to himself, all right, listen, I know I got a rookie quarterback, essentially, a redshirt freshman quarterback, and I got a banged-up Dalvin Cook, and the offensive line's inconsistent. But damn it, man, I need to step over to the other side of the football because this is out of hand. And that's all, learning on the job as a head coach. I mean, again, we said it a couple hours ago, this is Jimbo's first head coaching gig. So he's learning every year about when to butt in and when to let coaches be coaches.
There was a lot to learn based on the first half of last year. And I was interested today, as I always am with these first press conferences, to see what his mood was like. And was he introspective? Was he boastful? Was he confident? Was he concerned? Was he exhausted? Was he elated that practice was starting? I think he was sort of stoic, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think he was just a bit reserved. I think he was calculating in his answers, and I mean that in a good way. I don't think that's not the same as conniving. I think he was careful with the way that he answered questions because I think he did have to learn from last year. And he hinted at that. He talked a lot about his players learning just how difficult it is to win, how tough you have to be, how consistent you have to be. And I think when he says those things, he's also talking about himself.
Sure, and there's one thing that you can always take to the bank with Jimbo, and there's been evidence of it over the years. It's that he will do, as he just said there in the clip, that if he feels like they need to call the game slower in order to shrink
he'll
possessions,
always do that.
Or if he needs to go out and run up the score. His early days of the Georgia Tech home game where we lost because we punted once is a case in point. That 08-09 run there, Jimbo knew we need to score points and we need to score them
because we're not
bunches.
stopping anybody. Yeah,
exactly. And then go, a couple of years ahead, 2011, I guess it was, down in Gainesville, and that was the game where Sean Powell is your MVP.
One of my favorite games.
Jimbo calls the game because he knows, as he just said in that clip, we're deficient on that side of the ball. He knew his offense was deficient compared to Florida's defense, but he knew that Florida couldn't move the ball.
No, and we got the lead, and from that point forward, you could dictate terms. Yeah, and did, and he wasn't going to risk that.
So he's done it both ways. He's done it in a rivalry game where you would think he might not. He said the offense isn't going to get the job done to the tune of, 25, 30 points today. So let's minimize risk here. We got this game, we got a chokehold on this game. Let's play to our strengths. He will play to the strengths of the team as he sees it, complementary football between offense and defense.
Amongst the other items, the big news of the day, if you're just hopping into your car, is the fact that Rick Leonard is going to move, at least at the start of camp, from right tackle to left tackle. So much has been made about the question at left tackle, who's going to man the position. Josh Ball was thought to be the guy entering camp to start at left tackle. Instead, Rick Leonard is, and at right tackle, he'll run out a whole host of people fighting for that job, beginning with Brock Rubel, and Brock will take over at right tackle. I don't know for how long. Brock got a long way to go from the last time we saw him on that side. We'll see. Maybe he has. Jimbo did cite the fact that he's in better shape and his footwork's better and he's faster, and let's hope so because he was not any good. So we'll see. And then Derek Kelly will get an opportunity over there. Several other players will get a chance over there. Juwan Williams and Josh Ball and those guys will get their opportunities. So we'll see. That's an absolute position battle. And I don't know that anybody has the lead. Let's let them all get after it. I think it's interesting that Alec Eberle comes into camp ready to go, healthy, apparently, as are all of the players as we start camp. Everybody you had a question mark about, whether that's somebody coming off of off-season surgery, somebody who's had to nurse some form of injury in the spring. All of the players were said to be a full go. That included the other big news of the day, I do believe, in George Campbell being a full go for contact, everything else. The talented yet oft injured wide receiver is a guy that came in, heralded as a 5-star, ready to roll, and has had basically one pass thrown to him that he dropped. Would have been a touchdown. But ever since then, he has been hurt in some capacity. And it was beginning to sound more and more like, unfortunately, sadly even, that maybe he was never going to make an impact on this team because of the injuries that befell him. But Jimbo said it with a smile on his face today, that he's admired the work ethic and the toughness to come back from injury, and that he was pleased to report George was ready to go. So that's exciting news. He also noted that Jacques Patrick comes into camp as the #1 running back. Did note that, of course, because of the position, you're going to need complementary players. No doubt Cam Akers is a big part of that, Amir Rasul, amongst others, getting their opportunities at running back. And I think that's true, but it was nice of him to pay a compliment to Jacques Patrick, who's done what he's been asked to do and done it well, just that he was stuck behind Dalvin Cook. Ain't no shame in that. I do believe it's a running back by committee. I do believe the door is wide open for Cam Akers or anybody else to take that job from Patrick. That job seems accessible.
Yeah, fair to say that Jimbo is really efforting not to put any pressure on Cam Akers. Because if he could make a point...
Because he knows everybody thinks the kid's going to start, sure.
Right, and if he can make a point about a running back, it's been Amir Rasul until today when he decided that, I need to make a statement about Jacques Patrick. But you haven't heard any long extolling of what Cam Akers can bring to the offense. You just haven't. He said, yeah, he's getting used to it. He's getting in the flow of things. Obviously, he's a good player. It's nothing like, well, this guy's a different player. He doesn't want to heap that on him. Sometimes coaches are willing to heap a lot of praise and, in turn, also a lot of pressure on a young player. But it looks like Jimbo is, he's staying away from that. He doesn't want to anoint Cam Akers. And I don't know if that's a motivation thing or if that's where he just says to himself, I don't know that Cam is ready to deal with all that pressure just yet.
I'll note a quick question came in as we were talking before we go to break and before we play audio from today's press conference. Casey writes, I'm still waiting for you to address how blank our offense was in the first half to go with bad D. I think that one was a little bit more forgivable, Casey, given that we began the year with Dalvin Cook injured, running maybe at 50%, and you were starting a brand-new quarterback in redshirt freshman DeAndre Francois. Also, we lit up Ole Miss's defense. Not that that's a huge accomplishment. We came out the gate swinging and scoring a ton of points, and that was because of our offense.
We scored in bunches on USF. I mean, the Louisville game is a black hole of nothing went right.
Yeah.
We all agree on that. But the next week, we came out firing on a USF team that by the end of the year, people thought a little bit more of than they did the day we played them.
Yeah. No, and I'm always going to say that an offense, as we all know, is behind a defense. Every year, no matter what, it takes longer for an offense to get going than a defense. So given the circumstances with an injured superstar running back and a brand-new quarterback, I'm going to give some leeway as to the start. Besides, from a numbers standpoint, they actually weren't that bad early in the season. The Louisville game, you're right. Also, when you get down 1,000 points to start a football game, the whole world knows what you have to do at that point. Defense dictate terms. You got no real chance. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Owners or lessees can receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to autoairbagsettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's autoairbagsettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned cars starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all of Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio here. Audio from Jimbo Fisher talking some today about the team's personality. Corey Clark asked the question. Jimbo Fisher answered.
When you talk to them, they ain't ever late for a meeting. When you talk to them, they're sitting in the front of their chair and their eyes are up. There ain't guys dozing off. There ain't guys, and that happens on every football team. Everybody says, well, that happens in the history of 29 years. That happens a lot. I mean, that's just part of kids when you sit and talk to them. They got to be somewhere. Whether they're doing community service, whether they're doing good in school. I mean, just the whole demeanor and the urgency in which how they let you coach them, let you push them, let you challenge them, and say that, I don't have all the answers. Hey, I know I'm a great player, but I can still be coached, I can still be gotten on, I can still be challenged. And from that demeanor, I mean, just characteristics of that normal good people. Like if you walked in a room with somebody and you want to have a conversation with them and talk to them, if he's looking all over the room and doing that, what's that tell you? Or is he locked into what you're saying? Is he paying attention to what you're saying? Is he trying to do what you're saying? Does he show up 2 minutes late? Is he on time? Are they 5 minutes early? Do they affect other guys? Are they getting on other guys? Or you see the leaders of the team taking their personality on guys. You know what I'm saying? From that standpoint, that's what I've liked.
So he likes the personality of their team because clearly he didn't like last year's personality of the team, I would say.
They could take hard coaching. I think that's probably the thesis in there.
It's always been his thing. You know, this may be harsh in a really succinct way of addressing a larger point. Jimbo Fisher grew up in West Virginia with what can only be described quite clearly as a dad that was very tough. And he had a lot of work to do on a farm. So it's suffice to say that Jimbo's got no time nor patience for people who can't handle being spoken to, for lack of a better term, with a sense of urgency. If you want to get on Jimbo's good side, don't be a bitch. Show up for work hard, understand it's not personal when he's screaming at you. It's efforting to make you better and to make the team better. And that when you walk off the field, it's over with. Don't take it back to the dorm room or the apartment and sit around worried about your feelings and about what Jimbo said to you or the manner in which he said it. It's funny because people listening to this it's just depending on your personality. You either get that or you don't.
I think generation, too. I think he's right about that, Jimbo.
Yeah, I think he probably is, too. Yeah. I just don't, maybe because I'm 46 and he's in his 50s, and so we're pretty close in age. I don't know, man. That's just always the way it was in football. You just didn't let what a coach said affect you personally. You didn't have to like it, and it might anger you in the moment. Sometimes it was meant to. And it's easier to understand the older you get that that's what was going on. But I don't know. You didn't shut down because of it. I just think that, he's probably seen too much of that with certain guys, and it's frustrated him to no end. And I think he has a hard time when he's got to depend on a kid who struggles with hard coaching there's probably a better way to say that, but then I do believe that makes that relationship that much tougher for him to build, and then therefore they're not on the same page. He's not talking about DeAndre Francois, by the way, who can handle tough coaching. I asked DeAndre Francois that very question about his relationship with Jimbo Fisher at the ACC kickoff, and he said, don't listen to the way he says something. Listen to what he's saying. I never listen to how he is saying something to me because that can be pretty harsh. But I listen to the message and the teaching and what he's trying to get across, and I filter out whatever superfluous adjectives were used. Right? I think if you're a player who gets that, then you can play for him, and there's not going to be a problem.
And it's probably the greater truth. It's not just about guys who can accept hard coaching. It's players who can accept criticism from anywhere. Because if you think about any of his opening press conferences or anytime he relates back to the good days here, the real good days, the first names he brings up are Telvin Smith and Joyner and Jernigan and all those guys because they held their teammates responsible if they weren't pulling their weight. And so Jimbo needs somebody, a group of players, a team,
to take that on, yeah.
To take that on in two ways. One, they can accept the hard coaching from the coaches. And two, then there's accountability. And this is what he was talking about with culture, where the players take that on themselves and they enforce amongst themselves. So he needs enforcers, and he needs a whole group to be able to handle the way he's laying it down.
The most fascinating aspect of this season is that, because it didn't happen last year until the season was, in essence, lost. I don't know. The promissory notes are the things we make fun of, but something happened, and obviously what they ended up seeing from an offensive standpoint was an easier set of offenses to wrangle, and then therefore there was some success, and then because of that success, obviously they gained confidence. But clearly the leadership was lacking.
But I think that's where the miscalculation was last year when you talk about Charlotte and what he said in July. Remember, he said to you that this is the first time in 2 or 3 years that I've heard players talking about their teammates in summer being accountable. So clearly he thought, based upon summer workouts, that guys were holding each other accountable.
But
and that was the miscalculation.
What we learned about it going into to camp this year is that he wasn't going to make that same mistake and project that, point it out, talk about it, use it as a talking point. He didn't do that. He would stop short. He'd say, oh, well, we'll see. Camp's just getting started. How many times did he mention today, oh, look, they'll be out there in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm sure they'll all look great. Because he's saying basically, we don't know yet. I'm going to tell you, I rode him like hell in the spring, and I tried to instill toughness, and I like the reports I'm getting back. But we'll see. Camp's just getting started. He wouldn't flinch on anybody. And that's the lesson he learned from a year ago, which is he was pretty sure they were beyond that point, and then they weren't. And, oh, no, it's off the rails.
So the first 5-10 practices of camp are going to be, let's see if what we did in spring took.
Yeah, and you got to do it every day, and you got to lead every day. And he's counting on some people that he's now asked to take on larger responsibility. Naquan Murray's a big part of that. Let's see what he is on a daily basis because he's going to be the guy in that receiving core.
There is no doubt, because he doesn't mention it on defense nearly as much as he does offense. Right. There's no doubt that he's imparted that role to DeAndre, and he wants it desperately to be DeAndre, not just because of the obvious ties, that he's a quarterback's coach on top of everything else that he is, but he wants DeAndre to be the leader. He doesn't think anybody else is fit to do it the way that DeAndre is going to have to do it.
And that he's freed up to do it now because he's no longer having to prove himself within an offense and whether or not he's got a good grasp of it, and because it's not his first year, and because he took a beating last year and proved himself from a toughness standpoint and an ability standpoint for the entire team to see. They bounced back from tough times. They ended the year on a high note. It should be his. It should be his time to shine and to take the next step in growth as the quarterback and unquestioned leader. I just wonder if that's in him from a personality standpoint. You get into feelings and all that kind of stuff and armchair psychiatry, and I don't really want to go down that road. He's a quiet kid is all I'm saying. And we'll see, does he become a little bit more boisterous and assertive, which is kind of outside the realm of his normal personality when you talk to him and you see him interact with people.
I don't know what you're talking about. He's the number 11 player in the ESPN top 50 of college football players of 2017.
Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan's service department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned carts starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits. And now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
Investing is a long-term process. How many times can you think of in the last decade that the stock market has destroyed retirement funds for people just like you and me? For your existing IRA, you need the security that gold has provided for centuries. Remember, gold has never been worth zero. Capital Gold would like to introduce you to the Home Storage Gold IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. So who is the best player in college football? According to ESPN, it's Derwin James. In an article published by ESPN, James was ranked the #1 player in the country, ahead of guys like Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield and USC's Sam Darnold, who's even ahead of Lamar Jackson, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. Other Knowles making that list: DeAndre Francois at number 11, Josh Sweat number 24, and Tavares McFadden at number 25. Well, the NFL says it may be willing to work with the NFL Players Association to study the use of marijuana as pain management. The league wrote a letter to the NFLPA offering to work with them to study the potential use by players as a pain management tool. And you've heard of UCF kicker Donald De La Haye. He's a YouTube sensation. Now the NCAA has ruled him ineligible after he refused to give in to the NCAA's demands for him to stop monetizing on his very popular YouTube channel.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Do you do as I do when these practices start? Just hold your breath You spend all the offseason waiting for practice to start just so you can get nervous about practice starting. Maybe not as bad as I once did. My biggest fear used to always be, man, this guy can't get hurt. This guy can't get hurt. In truth, everybody has somebody get hurt typically in a practice, and for a day or two you fret over it and then figure it out. Kind of have to. You just hope that if it happens, knock on wood, that it's in an area where you're deep, where you're talented.
I actually worry more about these practices than I do the ones with pads, because this is non-contact injury territory, and you don't want those. Those are never good.
No, those are typically ACLs and Achilles and
knocking on wood over here.
Those kinds of things. No, but you can't, right? You got to take the attitude of a coach and a player, which is that I'm not going to go into a practice ever worried about that. You'd never get anything done. We talked about it yesterday. I mean, you just never would. So at this point, I would guess that Jimbo's kind of listen. He's reestablishing some things here about how practices go. You know, he talked about reps for quarterbacks. He talked about the fact that everybody gets the same number of reps. 1s versus 3s, 2s versus 4s, and all that on different fields. And then when we go in scrimmaging, it's 1s versus 1s and all that. But quarterbacks aren't just sitting around. He was asked about developing depth at quarterback. It was kind of interesting to me. You got the sense that really it's DeAndre Francois and JJ. Bailey is not going to be out there in terms of having an opportunity to play this year.
So he's not ready. That's the sense you get?
Well, the sense I get is that JJ's the backup, the clear backup, and if things go awry for whatever reason with DeAndre Francois, we're not throwing that kid to the wolves. He's going to be probably redshirted.
You know, the funny thing is, of all the quarterbacks we've seen here under Fisher who, started for any number of games, they could throw smash. They could throw that corner route, and that was their best throw. I think JJ's best throw is the seam. He can fire in a 98-mile-an-hour fastball up the seam. So maybe we could introduce more RPOs in that particular
It's where
instance.
you get guys killed, too, though, if you're not accurate down the seams. But, yeah. Okay, maybe it's all RPOs. Hey, at that point, JJ's a big kid. If you're going to be butt-ass average at throwing the football, we'll have to utilize those legs.
Just call the offense the way Alabama does. Everything's right and around near the line of scrimmage with some eye candy. There it is.
I really am most intrigued as to what Jalen Hurts is. Obviously, he won a bunch of football games last year, came within an eyelash of winning a national championship, did engineer one of the great drives under immense pressure, did it more than once last year. That's where that ability to run the football when plays break down and kind of ad-lib really wreaks havoc on a defense. It's very frustrating, especially if you're gifted at doing it and you're big and strong, and he is all of those things. But I think for Alabama to have the kind of season that they're expecting to have, he's got to get worlds better in the pocket. And I will be intrigued, do they rely on that growth? Do they think that that's in play to where they can trust him to throw the ball consistently from the pocket against Florida State's defense? My guess is no. My guess is that they'll try to fight to get past this game by utilizing his strength running the football. He will be asked to make throws, of course, but Florida State, given that they've struggled against that kind of an offense, I would feature it. I'd come out running it, and I would want to see how Florida State reacted to it.
Yeah, again, like you said earlier, this isn't necessarily the definitive let's game plan for Alabama and talk about the game in the weeds show. It's not that time yet. But something early on that I'll be looking for as we do get to that game is how many times is Hurts in the pocket and having to move from first read to second read to third? How many times does he have to plant his foot and scan the field? How quickly is the ball coming out of his hands? Because that will tell me the comfort level that they developed with him in spring and fall. If he sits back there and he looks, nope, nothing there, and throws, that tells me that they've at least reached some sort of comfort level with him and having to be able to break down coverages as the play is developing. But if it's snap, read, either throw or run.
That's what it's going to be, Tom. He's not.
Well, you were wondering out loud about how much development he's been through.
That kid ain't reading the defense against Florida State. He's not.
If he's forced to, that means we're winning the day.
Yep, and that'd be great because that's what you got to do. I'd make him sit back there and get to his third and fourth read. Okay, that ain't happening. He's not doing that.
You asked the question.
I'm just saying he's not doing that. You're right. It'd be great. Let's find out. And if he does, hey, bravo, young man. You've come an awful long way. I'd be surprised. I don't foresee that. But he may not have to, man. That's the other thing. I mean, Clemson had a great defense last year, and That kid had a lot of success.
It goes back to you call the game to mask things and you call the game to feature things.
Sure.
And both can be true at the same time. We'll learn a lot about how this team performed in fall through 4 games and the way Jimbo Fisher calls the offense. Is he trying to feature the rushing attack? Is he trying to feature, the quarterback being able to throw the ball down the field to these receivers? Because that will tell you what these practices, these ones going on right now, have informed him about the offense. In the same way, if Hurts and the game plan for Florida State from Alabama is that everything is going to be quick, if it's not their run, then that tells you that throughout camp, all they can do is trust him in a very limited way, so they're going to protect him from making any big mistakes with his weaknesses.
If we play well, the game could very well come down to special teams, which has been largely ignored in our conversation today, was brought up very briefly today in the press conference. A year ago, you had lots of questions about that position, about special teams, because Logan Tyler was new and Ricky Aguayo was new. And you really worried going into the year what that was going to look like. Let's go back and look at it. Ricky Aguayo finished the year 19 of 26, 73%. Certainly didn't need him to be giving us the ice water in the veins sign after making a bunch of very short kicks against Ole Miss, but
a couple of which were shaky.
Yeah, but that said, he began the year going perfect. What was he? 6 for 6, 7 for 7, 5 for 5, something crazy like that against Ole Miss, right? But then after that, he was pretty average, not real good, frankly. I think he was 65%. I remember reading that this morning. The rest of the way, man, that ain't getting it done. And he wasn't a guy that could kick the long field goal, so. I guess I do wonder, does Logan Tyler end up taking a huge step forward, not only in consistency as a punter, but does he enter into the battle of place kicking?
Well, it did look like, at least from watching it on tape, Jimbo Fisher's press conference, that is, I was back here, it did look like Jimbo, his eyes lit up when he was talking about special teams and finding roles for players on the coverage teams and the return teams. It looks like it's not just about making sure that things are okay on the defensive side of the football, the head coach interacting with the coordinator.
The aspect that I asked about, yeah.
It looks like the head coach is going to be involved in making sure the right people are in the right place for special teams as well, because Jimbo knows
the hidden yards, baby.
The hidden yards matter more this year because you've got a defensive league and you've got a defensive football team. So it's all about those. He said it today when he's talking about punt returns. Can we catch the ball and get a first down? I think he was referencing trying to get 10 yards and a punt return.
Yeah, getting actual returns.
Right.
As opposed to just please catch it.
He knows the value of field position this year is greater than it's been in quite some time.
And it's been years. I mean, again, this is why we sit around lamenting that, hey, look, we may have had one of the great returners of all time. But since the day he was told to walk out of here, it's been just a barrage of crap. I mean, we've really not had a return game in the punt game that we could count on. For that matter, return game whatsoever.
No, once Charles Kelly moved from special teams coordinator to defensive coordinator, you could argue that 2 phases of the game have been more inconsistent, sir.
Frustrating. Come back, wrap it up momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
4% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Cornerstone and DeWalt FlexVolt. Power of corded, freedom of cordless. Buy any of the following DeWalt T1 FlexVolt kits for only $2.99. 60-volt max grinder kit with battery pack, 60-volt brushless recip saw kit, or 60-volt circular saw with brake kit. And add one FlexVolt 60-volt battery pack for free. A $149 value and a Cornerstone-only exclusive. Check out the sound of silence. Almost. Power of gas without noise and fumes. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Your DeWalt FlexVolt Center. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
This is Shaquille O'Neal.
And the Shaquettes.
Reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time.
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
This is a court-ordered notice. Current and former BMW, Mazda, Subaru, and Toyota owners or lessees can receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to autoairbagsettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's autoairbagsettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Reds, Buccos, Homer Bailey, Jamison Tyon. Let's go, Tyon. Get it together. Screw you, Homer Bailey. Tigers, Yankees, Anibal Sanchez, CC Sabathia. We got Royals, Orioles, Ian Kennedy, Dylan Bundy. Cleveland will take on Boston. That looks like this. Carlos Carrasco and Chris Sale. Hey, that Chris Sale guy looks pretty good. Washington Nationals at the Miami Marlins. I tuned in to watch the near no-hitter last night with Gio Gonzalez. Leadoff single to start the ninth from D. Gordon tells the Nationals to suck it, but they go on to win the game anyhow. Max Scherzer starting tonight for the Nats, which means Miami may get no hit again. Chris O'Grady goes for the Marlins. Who? Dodgers, Braves, Kenta Maeda, Lucas Sims. I've never heard of you, Lucas Sims, but you're somebody's son and you're making your debut. Good luck, kid. Cardinals, Brewers, Carlos Martinez, Jimmy Nelson. We got D-backs. Freaking D-backs. You see Robbie Ray wore one off the face?
Yeah.
Woo.
I got nervous.
Bobby Ray cannot be stopped. He'll be back there for his next start.
That's right. He's not going to miss a single turn.
Ever.
That's probably not true.
D-backs, Cubs, Patrick Corbin, John Lester. Go Patrick Corbin. Mariners, Rangers, Erasmo getting a start for the Seattle Mariners. You were gone yesterday when I announced the trade to the Mariners. The Rays, no more. Running out Asmo. Not going to happen. Not for the Rays. Nick Martinez is going to start for the Rangers. Rays, Astros, Chris Archer, Mike Fiers. Blue Jays, White Sox, Marcus Stroman, Mike Pelfrey is still in the league. Mets, Rockies, Steven Matz. 0-3 with a 14 ERA over his last 4 starts. Steven Matz kind of sucks.
Feels worse than that.
People are hitting 472 off of him over his last 4 starts.
He's not mentally strong, Jeff.
Dude, 472 doesn't happen in Little League. Giants, A's, Samardzija, Shamania. That's a look at those that shall reside on the bump. I skipped a few guys. Who cares? We only have 20 seconds. Good work out of you. Great job, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Be well.
Through nights